Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Today's video is going to be more of a vloggy video. I'll probably be posting this video up tomorrow. Today's Sunday. It's supposed to get to 112 today. We've never had that here in this part of East Texas. The record here where I live is, I think, 110. And that was set back in September of 2000. And it's supposed to get to, we might break that today. They're saying it's supposed to get to 112 today. Now we've been dealing with 104, 106 every day, no rain. The ground is so dry, cracked. Some cracks are so big, if you're not careful, you'll twist your ankle in them. But we're trying to keep our garden, alive. We've been watering them twice a week. We're using our rainwater catchment system that I built, when was it, 2 years ago now. I want to put a video link to that up here. If you guys are interested in a rainwater catchment system. That's been working great. I've had a problem with it though. The valve where it controls the water that goes either to my house or to the garden, it's been leaking. The ground has been so dry, I guess it's putting tension on the pipe, and the valve, as you can see here, broke. Well, that broke, it cracked. Well, it's broke, but it's cracked and it's leaking. Not a major leak, I can still use the water and everything, but what I have to do is, whenever I'm done using the water in the garden, I have to go immediately after my pressure tank, I should say, from my catchment system, and there's a valve there, and I have to shut it off at the source, basically. Otherwise, all the pressure in the tank will leak out here, and I'll waste all that water. But anyways, at least it's working. I'm grateful for that. So what I've been doing now lately, I've been doing it for a while, but is watering, putting water everywhere where there's a valve. I got, from my well house to the house, I have a valve underground. And I've been watering the ground around that valve there. It's an on-off valve. I've been watering the ground because it's been so dry, the ground moves. And when the ground moves, your PVC pipes do not like that, okay? What else is going on? There's some pots I have to bring in, so we're going to do that next. My acerola trees, little bushes I should say, they're doing good. They're really holding out great in this heat. But 112 today, those pots are going to cook. So I'm going to move them under some shade, and there's other things I need to do. So let's get started. So guys, this is my handy dandy DIY large pot or plant mover. I did a video on this. I'll put a link to that video up here, where I just put these extensions on here where I can pick up these heavy pots, move them where I need to move them. Now I did this for the winter time. We're going to be getting, there's always a few days where in the teens, low single digits and things like that for a night or two, just enough to kill everything off, But I made this for that time where we can get these pots and move them into our storage building where they won't freeze. I never thought I'd be moving them so they don't bake. So it's 10 o'clock right now, and it's 90 degrees already. Crazy weather we're having. So I'm going to move these for now under a tree where they can get some shade so they don't get direct sunlight, because these pots are going to bake for sure. And I don't think, even though these plants are tropical, these acerolas, I don't think they like the 112. They've been handling this 106 pretty good, and they're actually doing really good. But 112 full sun all day. These pots are going to bake. And so here is our solar panels here. Yesterday I was so grateful that we have solar power. It's not just solar power, it's solar power with battery backup. Yesterday it was around 4 o'clock, it was in the afternoon, 4 o'clock, the sun was still hitting the solar panels. Power goes out from the grid. Now we switch over automatically, but I can sense when the lights they flicker. And I have one of those connected to my computer. I got one of those battery backups connected to it, and it starts clicking every time the power either flickers or goes out and it switches over to solar. It started clicking like that, and I was like, oh boy. I went outside, checked the meter, and the meter was dead. So we were on solar power, and I'm so grateful because yesterday at around 4 o'clock when the power went out, it was 106 out. And I'm starting to think, what about all these people? You know, I got my neighbors up front, they got a bunch of kids living in their house, young kids. My neighbor is disabled and elderly. And I was gonna have to go there, offer them to stay in at least in our place here or in the metal building in some AC until they can get this fixed. Thankfully, within a couple of hours they got it fixed. But that's scary when you think about it. Power goes out and it's, you know, well into the triple digits, and the AC goes out. Man, that's a scary thought actually. But this is another thing, and I'm very grateful that I did back in 2019, I think it was. 2019, 2020, right in the winter of that year. I built this mount for it, solar mount here. I had all the big stuff installed by a solar installer, all the wiring and all that stuff. But the panels, I got a video on that, and I'm going to put a link to that up here also, where I put this system in. And yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have power when the grid is down. Guys, it's getting unbearable out here. It is 106 degrees already. And like my wife says, it feels like an iron being pushed on your face. I feel sorry for my kitties right now, the 2 cats that I have, Ginger and Coco. We're gonna put them in my storage building where it's air conditioned. We have a little dog kennel there set up for them. And Yeah, they're going to be suffering out here. You know, we got another 6 degrees to go if we make it to 112 today. But yeah, it's just unbearable out here. It's even hard to breathe. So this is Coco. Coco, here. Yeah, look at the camera now. You're going to be a YouTube star. And we call him Coakley Dokley. But we're going to bring him in the building and where it's air conditioning. Okay, come on, come on. Come on, Coco. It's hot. Let me turn some lights on in here. All right. There. Yeah, I'm gonna get him some water, and let me get Ginger. There we go. And this here is little Ginger. It's a little cooler in here, a lot cooler actually. There we go.
You remember being here?
So I have to get them some water, and they're going to spend the rest of the day in here where it's, yeah, until evening, because it is just too incredibly hot outside. So this here is my 12,000 gallon water catchment system. I built this, it's been 2 years now. I'll put videos to that series, I guess. I'm going to put that up here if you guys want to watch that. This thing's been, for the most part, it's been working great. I've had one problem with it once. I had a leak because of the drought that we had. What was it, last year? The ground from the foundation separated, and it pulled the pipe with it, and it broke it. And I have a video on the fix on that also, where I put basically a rubber hose. It was a radiator hose, basically, a reinforced radiator hose, one with the wires wound up in it, and the ground's able to move in and out from the foundation, and it won't affect the pipe. So you can see here how much the tank has shrunk, because this is empty. And the ground has shrunk also. So we have a good 2.5 inch gap right there from the tank shrinking and the ground shrinking, pulling away from each other. But if you come around here, it's really not that much, or maybe less than 1/2 inch, and maybe the same amount on this side. Well, the main reason for that is I've been watering this area right here. These are where my valves are. I go from tank to tank, on-off valves. I put 2 instead of just 1 because you know, this one's closer to this tank and this one's closer to this tank. For whatever reason, I can shut one or the other one off. Same thing from here to here, and from this one to that one. But I've been watering this whole area, keeping the ground as moist as I can without wasting too much water, just to keep the ground and the pipes from moving. And back here also, there's the main water line, comes from here, goes underground, and it goes in here, goes through my well pump and pressure tank and out here again. Then it tees this way, it goes to my garden and house, and this way it goes around to my chicken coop area, where I can water the chickens, give them their water. But I've been watering this ground here quite a bit also, and it's not too bad. It hasn't moved that much. You can see it hasn't pulled away from the concrete that much, whereas over here it's pretty bad. So yeah, and you know, I know a lot of these are going, why don't you just water your foundation? Well, you know, water is a little hard to come by right now, or at least I don't want to waste it. Especially this water, I will not waste on this kind of stuff unless it's an absolute emergency. But my well pump, I mean, you know, the water table I don't know how deep it is right now, how far down it goes. So we will see. We've gone through 1, 2, we're on our 3rd tank right now of water to water the garden, and we're using it sparingly right now. We're trying to be very conservative about using water. And we're basically just keeping things alive out there in the orchard garden. Some things are just, it's just too hot. You know, I don't care how you look at it, it's just too hot. Gardening here in this part of Texas, and I'm sure in other parts too, most of Texas except the northern, there's going to be 2 months out of the year, basically July and August, that you really can't do any gardening. So yeah, we went through, we're on our 3rd tank now. We got 1 more tank after this, and I hope it gets us through at least the middle of September, where things will start changing, the weather patterns, and it'll start cooling down. Hopefully we'll start getting some rain, because we haven't had any rain. I can't remember, it's been months. Really, it has been that long. I haven't cut grass, and some of the weeds have thrived and they're getting long, but even the weeds are struggling right now. So I'm not going to waste my time cutting anything right now. And it's too hot. I can't be out in the sun, you know, 105, 6, 7 degrees cutting grass. It just, nah. And a lot of you are probably wondering why I'm always wearing white t-shirts. Okay, 2 reasons. 1, they're cheap, and when they get old and nasty, they turn them into rags or just throw them out. No big deal. But the main reason is the sun. You try going out there, working out in the sun in the summer here in East Texas with a black shirt on. I want to see how far how long you'll survive. So that's what's been going on here. The chickens, I have a fan on the, it's really an attic fan. That fan's been running non-stop for the last 2 months. I have it set for roughly 85 degrees. And it is not turned off, not even at night has it turned off, at least for the last 2 months. What I really need to do is get another one in case that one burns out. But that's the only thing that's doing is keeping the heat from building up in the chicken coop. Because first of all, your chicken coop should be very well ventilated, and if it's not, make sure it stays under some trees where it's always shaded. Mine's ventilated, so I'm not too concerned about it. Plus, when it gets past I don't know, noonish or so, the trees shade the entire chicken run in the coop and everything. All my chickens, now when you get chickens, you gotta plan this out. You gotta make sure you build your chicken coop near or under some trees. Because when that sun gets intense in the summertime, even up north, it can get intense, and the chicken coops will heat up real quick, and chickens don't like that. Right now my chickens are suffering, but they're in the shade. They're not in direct sunlight. They hang around their water there, and they're all huddled around the water and just drinking water all day. I make sure the water is always full, and make sure they're in the shade. I'm going to keep an eye on them today. If it gets really bad where I see that they're really struggling, and I know it's going to scare the hell out of them, but I might get the water hose and squirt them down with water. Now, I mean really squirt them down. I mean under their feathers, because if I just squirt the chickens, first of all, they'll run and scream bloody murder. And when the water gets on them, the feathers will just shed off the water. But if you get them wet underneath their feathers, in fact, what I might do is put a water tub out there and try and get a couple and dunk their bodies in there. So that way they'll be like us when we sweat. You know, they don't sweat, obviously. they'll get cooled off that way. And maybe they'll figure it out. I don't know. They should be laying in the water like a duck. I don't know, but I'll keep an eye on them. But the main thing is make sure they're always in the shade, not in direct sunlight, and make sure they got water and stuff like that. So I'm really curious to see if we're going to break that record today, 112. I ain't never experienced 112 before. Never have I experienced 112. Low 100s, yeah. You know, like this 105 and 6 and stuff we've been experiencing. And believe you me, when I'm walking out here in the sun and it's hitting my face, it is, like my wife says, it's like a hot iron on your face. It is so incredibly intense and relentless that it's like, how can anything survive out here? Yeah, it's the weather right now is just extremely hot, and you just got to deal with it. I am so grateful, and I thank God that I was able to put that AC system in the house early on this spring, and it has been working fantastic. We keep the house at around 79 degrees when it's over 100 outside, and it feels, sometimes it feels even too chilly, and I'm very grateful for that. Well guys, I have some great news. It never made it to 112. Man, am I happy for that. It only got to 108 today. So I'm going to keep this short because I have to get me a jacket since it never reached 112. Because I'm feeling kind of chilly right now. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video.
A new place, a new home, for a while, let me feel alive. Nothing to hold me back, take my time, just enjoy the ride.